Hey everyone, I will be showing you all 4 Paladin specs and Glyph setups you can run. Yes, I said 4 specs, as Paladins actually have a 4th spec called Preg. It is a take on Ret Paladin, except you use a one-handed healer weapon with a prot shield. It does very high damage and tons of healing. It was found on private servers over the last few years, and if you just want to see the final build and Glyph setup, then just skip to the end of each section. So let's get into it. And now for the 4th Paladin spec, Preg. We will be going pretty deep into Ret, but not all the way, as you will see. And this build might look really weird to you, but I'll try to explain it so that you can see why it's good. So 5 points into Benediction, reduce the mana cost of our spells so that we don't go as if you you'll probably be dying. 5% parry is good too, but I'd rather go with the mana cost reduction.
Hey guys! Before the video starts, make sure you click the subscribe button.
And Heart of the Crusader. Judgments will also increase crit chance on them by 3% for everybody. And then 2-second shorter cooldown Judgment. That's how we get our mana back, more damage. 5% crit chance with spells and attacks, and it'll also give us Vengeance. We're going to put 2 points into Pursuit of Justice, reduce duration of disarms, so it's a weapon chain, and then 50% more movement and mounted speed, which is very important as we have no gap closer and no slow. We're going to get 3 points into Sanctity of Battle, which is 3% spell crit, and it gives us 15% damage on Exorcism and Crusader Strike, but we're not going to be using Crusader Strike, so that just reads Exorcism. Then we're going to get Crusade, which reads deal 6% more damage. We're not going to get Eye for an Eye, as it can break CC. We don't want to bother with that, as if they hit you with a Chaos Bolt or something while it's traveling and you repent them, then it'll just break your CC. So we're going to get 1 point of Vindication, which will reduce our attack power and give the spell protection. Then we're going to get Sanctified Retribution. It gives us 50% more Ret Aura damage, and then we all deal 3% more damage. So that's quite nice, as your Ret Aura can do tons of damage, especially if you have the shield spike on your shield. And 3 points in Vengeance, this will give us more damage, up to 9%. Then 2 points in Divine Purpose, reduce chance to be hit by 4% by spells in range, and then it removes stuns on ourselves and allies, usable while stunned as well. So if you're in a 6-10 kidney, boom, it's gone. Hajj, boom, it's gone. Use on an ally, it's gone. So that's very nice. We're skipping 6% weapon damage, as we're going to be using a one-hander and a shield with this build. Then we got Art of War. This will give us our instant flashlights and exorcisms. Very powerful, as with this build, you attack so quickly because you use like a 1.8 speed weapon or lower. So you're constantly hitting. And with Reckoning, you'll have way more hits going off all the time, and you run a lot of crit. So then every global is just like flashlight, 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 exorcism. Then we'll get Repentance, our 6-second instant CC, which will line up with our Hajj. And then 3 in Judgments of the Wise. This will give us our mana back, as well as give our allies some mana. The 1% max of mana gives a ton back to people with big mana pools. Our healers and casters get the most. Sanctified Wrath, huge crit chance, reduces our Avenging Wrath from 3 minutes to 2. And then we bypass damage. So you pop this and you do nuts damage. First blood. Then we're only going to be putting 2 points into Fanaticism for 12% more crit on our Judgments. Then we're not getting Crusader Strike. We will be getting Sheath of Light. This will give us a lot more spell power, and then a large Hot. And that is it for Ret. You only put those 43 points in. Now we go into Prot. We get 15% Strength. Then we're going to get 2 points in here for the shorter bop cooldown and longer freedom. And 3 points in here for the shorter duration of stuns, and then the spell protection. We're going to get Divine Sacrifice, which will reduce damage by everybody. And you can use this while silenced, and it helps your ally with this. So then 3 points in here, which is also the spell protection. We're going to get 1 point in here. So we heal ourselves for 2% more and everyone else for 1. And then we get 2 points in here. And then we're going to get 2 in here. So this also makes your Sacred Shield go from 30 seconds to 60. And then this goes from a minute to 40. So you got your Hajj on a 40-second cooldown and Repentance on 1 minute. So every minute you can do 12 seconds of instant CC from 20 yards away. And then I believe Hajj is like 10 or 15. And I'm going to get 1 point in Improved Devotion Aura, as that'll be 2% more healing for everybody. We won't really use Devotion Aura though. We're going to get 3 points into Reckoning. You can kind of mix this one up. I see some reasons to go higher, but a lot of people seem to go with 3 because it's usually up at that point. We're not going to get this one, as we're going to still be using Kings. You'd read this and think, oh, it's just better than Kings, but it doesn't give us the 10% agility, and we really need crit with this build. So we're going to just totally avoid that and use Kings. And then we're going to put 2 more points in improved devotion aura, so everyone gets healed by 6% more. And then our last 3 points will go into 10% more damage. And the way this reads is increases all damage you deal when a one-handed melee weapon is equipped. So it's not just the one-hander that deals 10% more, it's everything as long as it's equipped. So very powerful, and that is the talents. Now for the glyphs, you have some options, but the main one I like to get is the flash of light. You don't have to run it, but this spec is so healing intensive and it has less burst than red. I feel like this is one of the big perks with it. So you get this with a lot of flashlights and you have crazy healing. And then you can get the Glyph of Turn Evil, helps with the DK and lock matchups. But you really want to get this one as you're going to have Seal of Vengeance on all the time. And then you get 10 more expertise, so you hit a lot more often, which means more procs, of course more damage. And then for the last glyph, you have some options. 20% damage with Exorcism. You get 10% more judgment damage. This will be a lot more DPS than this. And you still use judgment much more often than Exorcism, as it's a shorter cooldown. Or you could go with Avenging Wrath, which makes more sense to get this as Preg than as Ret. But it's still not worth it. And it's not going to... Most of the time, you only get to use one Hammer Wrath anyways. Not really worth it. You can get Glyph of Salvation. It'll give you a mini bark skin when you use it on yourself. So that's nice. But I would say you should just go with the Glyph of Judgment, as the higher damage you'll get with that is worth it. So we're going with the 5% crit healing and then expertise and damage there. With the minor glyphs, we're going to get the cheaper Blessing of Kings and then 1% damage to undead. And then we could get this or Lay on Hands. Doesn't really matter. I'll just go with the Lay on Hands for BGs. And that is the end of Preg. All right, now Ret Paladin. So we'll be getting 5 points into Benediction, 10% less mana cost on all instant cast spells. You can get the 5% parry if you want, but mana issues will be the death of you. Now we'll get 3 points into Heart of the Crusader. It'll make judgments increase crit chance of all attacks made against that target by an additional 3%. Nice. 2-second less cooldown on judgment. Judgment hits very hard. You're going to be using it most of the time. You have improved Blessing of Might. We're going to be using Kings most of the time as we want the crit chance as well as the higher survival that comes with the stamina. So not bothering with that. Now we're going to get 5 points into more crit chance. You also have to get that to get your Vengeance later on. Then we'll get 1 point into Vindication. Now you see it only says 23 attack power. It's much higher than that. It's just scaled based off your level. We're not going to get the second point as it's mainly for the spell protection. It's not a ton of attack power reduction anyway. Civil Command, we won't be using this ever. We're going to have Seal the Righteousness up all the time. So we'll be getting 2 points into Pursuit of Justice. It is a weapon chain, which will allow us to use Berserking on our weapon. And then we have a very fast movement speed, which helps considering we don't have a gap closer and we have no slow. We're going to get 3 points into Sanctity of Battle, 3% crit chance, and then 50% more damage on Exorcism and Crusader Strike. Have to get that, just a lot of damage. Then we have Crusade, 3% more damage, and then damage caused against humanoids, demons, undead, and elementals by an additional 3%. So it essentially reads 6% more damage in PvP. That's kind of nuts for 3 points, so you have to get that. Then we're going to get 3 points into two-handed weapon specialization. So our Crusader Strike, Divine Storm, autos are all going to do 6% more damage. As you can see, Crusade's really strong. I mean, this is going 6% on our Exorcism, our Hammer of Wrath, our Consecrate, everything. And then this is on, about half or a little more than half our damage. Then we're going to get 3 points into Vengeance. 3% bonus to physical holy after you crit, and it stacks to 9%. This is very nice as you get this up pretty quickly, and then you just have a 9% damage bonus, 6% here, 6% here. It just adds up very quickly. We're not getting Eye for an Eye, as it can do decent damage, but it will break CC sometimes, and you just don't want to ever have that happen. That literally makes a talent not worth it right there. If they hit you with a projectile as you repented, for instance, then the Eye for an Eye is going to hit them and break the repent as it breaks the damage. 2 points in Divine Purpose. This adds a lot of utility for Ret Paladins. Reduces the chance to be hit by spells and range attacks by 4%, which can give you some nice RNG benefits. But your Hand of Freedom will get rid of any stun on them. So you can get rid of a Rogue's Opener like Cheap Shot, Kidney Shot, Hammer of Justice. You can use it on your allies. This ability is very nice. 1 point in Repentance. 1 minute cooldown, instant cast, 6 seconds CC. You can do it from pretty far range as it's 20 yards as a melee. So very nice. 2 points into Art of War. This gives us more damage. And whenever we crit, our next special exorcism is instant, and this is how we get a lot of our healing on our allies and adds a lot of utility. Then 3 points into Judgments of the Wise. Whenever you judge, this is how you won't go You will get your mana back. It says 25% of your base mana, and then we'll also do replenishment on your party. So that will give everyone a little bit more mana. It won't give you much, as 1% of your mana is only going to be, you know, like 70, 60 mana. So that's quite low, but it's going to be a lot more for your healers and whatnot. And 2 points into Sanctified Wrath. It'll make it so your Hammer of Wrath almost always crits. If you're wearing some of the agility gear and you have this up and you're hitting someone without Resil, you'll have pretty much 100% crit chance with it. And it also reduces the cooldown by a minute, down from 3 to 2. And then it bypasses 50% of all damage reduction. Crazy powerful. This is what makes Ret hit obscenely hard. Now we're going to get Fanaticism. It'll give us 18% more crit chance on Judgments, so very high. That'll help you get your Vengeance procs much quicker, as well as give you a much higher chance for a heal. So let's say you are dying or teammates dying, and you can hit any of your abilities. You'll probably want to hit your Judgment, as that'll give you the highest chance of getting an instant heal. Right, Crusader Strike, our instant cast weapon damage move. Not much to say there. It just adds damage, more crits. Sheath of Light, this one gives you way more healing, and it also puts a hot onto allies. So Sacred Shield increases crit chance when it procs. So then you Flash of Light them, and it has the higher spell power here, and then it heals them 60% more of the amount, which is going to be higher because it crit, most likely. And then 2 points into Righteous Vengeance, as we're going to be putting 20 points throughout these two trees, and it's not quite worth it to get the third. So we're going to get our final point in Ret before our end talent, which is Sanctified Retribution. This makes this hit much harder. Our Ret aura against a rogue, let's say we have a shield on too with titanium plating, which is like a thorns, it can actually do crazy damage. I mean, sometimes in arena, our rogue will be hitting me and a partner, and then we're like, hey, let's just swap him. He's at 10k health because he hit himself down so low, which is kind of crazy. And then it gives everyone 3% more damage for only 1 point. Must get that. And Divine Storm, AoEs, heals you for a little bit. Costs a lot of mana though, and on a long cooldown. And then we're gonna go into Prot. 5 points for 15% strength. Have to get that. And 3 points into Stoicism, Restoration of Stun, and the chance that our dots and Hajj and our buffs and freedoms will all get dispelled. Have to get that. And 2 points in Guardian's Favor, 2 minute shorter cooldown, and 4-second longer Hand of Freedom. And then we could get some more healing on ourselves as well as what we do, or some dodge, but the dodge isn't really worth it. This armor value isn't really worth it in the duration. So we're gonna get 3 points in here to take 6% less damage, as well as you can spam it because it's free, so it's good to spell protection. And then Divine Sacrifice, this is our really good sack, and we can actually use it while CC like Sapped and Silence, so this one's very nice. I'm gonna put 1 point into Divinity, and then we can get 2 into Divine Guardian, which makes our Sacred Shield 30 seconds to 100 and absorbs more, and then 1 minute to a 40-second cooldown Hajj, so that's nice. So with that, we have 19 points in here. You could take 2 out, or even 4. I mean, you could do quite a few things here, but let's just go with this build. So we get 3% more damage with our seals. You could take out 2 in the Hajj and have the minute cooldown, so it lines up with your Repentance, and then you get 6% more damage on it. Up to you, but I would highly recommend at least putting the 17 in here, then following the 51 in here. So this is a reminder, you don't have a lot of flex really with Ret. You could even get this, which gives you 4% more healing. You don't use the armor on Devotion Aura really ever, but it does give everyone 4% more healing. So up to you. We're going to go with this. And then for the Glyphs, we shall be doing Glyph of Judgment, which gives us 10% more damage on it. We judge every, I believe, 8 seconds. Very powerful. It gives us our mana back. So you're going to definitely want to be using that. And then we're going to use Glyph of Exorcism, 20% more damage. This one's not the highest DPS boost, but Exorcism will hit much harder. And in PvP, we're trying to burst people down. And then for our final option, it's really between 2. If you want to have a better matchup versus locks and DKs, so you can fear the Gargoyle, which is the main reason you get this, or fear Lock Pet or DK Pet, you can go with Turn Evil, or you can go with 5 yards on Hajj, although I don't think this is really worth it, so I'd advise against that. You could get Avenging Wrath, which reduces the cooldown of Hammer Wrath by half, but you're already hitting so many abilities. You know, your Crusader Strike, Judge, Divine Storm, Exorcism, Hajj, Dispel, your freedoms, your Penance. You have so many globals to use, so I don't think that's really ever worth it. It sounds cool on paper, but I don't think it's worth it. Then you get 5% more Flash of Light crit if you want to heal for more, be a little more supportive. That's not bad. Or you can even get the Salvation, which will give you like a mini bark skin when you cast it on yourself. Otherwise, Salvation doesn't do anything. And then the final option is Seal of Righteousness. This is the seal we'll be using all the time, so 10% more damage on that is not bad. So between all those, if you want damage, I would just say go with this. But if you want to have the utility versus the DK and lock, maybe a bad matchups, go with this. Then the minor glyphs, we will go with Blessing of Kings, reduce the mana cost of it by 50%. You just need that for rebuffing in PvP. And then Glyph of Sense of Dead, we do 1% more damage to DK pets. And then we can get shorter cooldown Lay on Hands or Glyph of Wide. We don't really use those either, the longer duration doesn't matter, so just get the shorter Lay on Hands. And that is Ret Paladin. Now for Prot Paladin, which you think protection, but really it's more like damage. So this spec does quite a bit of damage. It has one of the highest DPS in the game, especially with the PvE 2-set bonus. So we're gonna get 5 points for 15% strength, 3 for reduced stun and dispel protection, 2 points for the 2-minute shorter cooldown and 4-second longer Hand of Freedom. Skip dodge, we're gonna skip the armor and movement slowing. We're gonna get 3 points in here for 6% less damage. It's good dispel protection too. Divine Sacrifice, this is our better sacrifice. We're gonna get 1% more healing on us as well as we do one more. And then this one will make our Sacred Shield go to 60 seconds up from 30. And then 2 points in here for the faster Hodge cooldown, 1 minute to 40. And 3 points in here so that we heal for 6% more. And then because Prot has more mana issues because it doesn't have the Judgment that Ret or Preg has, we will be getting Blessing of Sanctuary. So we will take 3% less and then we get some mana back with this buff. We're going to get Reckoning, which is one of the best talents in this whole tree. I mean, it's probably the best talent in the whole tree, I'd say. And then we're going to do 10% more damage. Very nice. Then we're going to get more into Reckoning. The Holy Shield, this one gives you more block and it does a little bit of damage. Then this one will give you mana back when you're healed, but we only need 1 because we're going to have this giving mana back. We're going to have this giving mana back. We're going to have Divine Plea giving mana back. So we don't really need both points there. Then we're going to Art Defender. This is kind of like a Cheat Death, but it's a little worse. Cheat Death will give you more damage reduction. This one only heals you for, you know, like 10% of your HP. It's very low. Because if you're wearing a lot of Prot gear in PvE, it'll heal you for like 30-40% of your health, but not much in PvP. We're going to get this one, 3 points for 6 expertise, 6% crit, and 6% stamina. Good value. We're going to get Redoubt, increase block value by 30%, and damaging melee and range give you 10% chance to increase block chance by 30%. So we're just blocking all the time, and that'll give us more survival. Vengeance Shield, this does damage from range, and we get this, which will give us a guaranteed silence. And so it hits multiple people and silences multiple people. Very nice. We're going to get 2 points into Guarded by Light, 6% less spell damage, and then 100% chance to refresh our Divine Plea when we hit an enemy. Also, it can't be dispelled. So we're going to have a permanent Divine Plea as long as we're not CC'd long enough. And we're going to get points into Touched by the Light. This is where you have some flexibility. Really, all 3 of these points, you can kind of flex as you see fit. So I will first show you what I like to do, but you have options. Nothing's really wrong. So we're going to get 3 points in there. Then we're going to get 2 more in here for the higher healing, as well as more spell power. Then we're going to get Hammer of the Righteous. This move hits crazy hard. In PvP, you can actually start cleaving people down with it because you just hit so much. Then we're going to get 10% less mana cost on all instant. You can get the parry, but you're already pretty tanky. But you want to be tankier? Sure. We're going to get 2 seconds shorter cooldown on Judge, and then 3% more crit for everybody. Then we're going to get our weapon chain and more movement speed. And then we're going to get some crit. Now here, you have some options. You can go full into Crusade, which I think is what you want to do, as that just reads 6% more damage. If you want more crit though, you could go here, but you're not using Exorcism or Crusader Strike, so I don't think that's worth it. This does seem like the best option. You could get 1 point for Dispel Protection, but you want to go at least 18. You can go 2 more, go for more crit like that. Or we could put 2 more back into Prot and get our Hodge down to a 30-second cooldown, which is pretty short. And then the 1 second longer Judgment doesn't matter, but the 20% less melee attack speed can help a lot with everyone just taking less damage. maybe rogues applying less poisons, shamans getting less Wind Fairy procs, as well as their Maelstrom weapons. So that's what I like to do. You can definitely move things around, maybe get one more point in a Reckoning, maybe take one out, put some here for more stamina and shorter cooldown, and onto the glyphs. So we will be getting Glyph of Judgment, just more judgment damage, that's nice. And then we're going to be getting Seal of Vengeance, 10 more expertise. While this is up, you're always going to have that seal up as prot. And then we're not going to be healing very often, and we're not going to be casting Exorcism. So you don't need Flashlight, you don't need Exorcism. You could take Divine Plea because you're going to have that up permanently, so you take 3% less damage. That is a solid option for survival. But Avenger's Shield, if you get this one, it'll hit less people, but do double damage. That's pretty nice. The only reason you wouldn't want to get this is if you're doing BGs or something, but even then you probably still want it. So that's really nice. You could go back, remove the Judgment, and get this one to hit one more target, but that's not going to matter a ton in arenas. You don't care about Hammer of Wrath Glyph, that doesn't really matter. You get Glyph of Salvation, so you have the little bark skin, or you could get the instant Fear on DK pets and lock pets. Up to you. Do you want more damage? Do you want more utility? I mean, here we have pretty good utility, damage, expertise, so we get more hits off. So we'll go with that. And then for the minor glyphs, reduce mana costs on kings, because we're going to be kingsing our allies mostly. And then we'll get 1% more damage on undead, and then we will get Glyph of the Wise or Lay on Hands. Your choice. We won't really use Seal of Wisdom, but sometimes we will, because the spec can so I would go with that. As for Ret, it's much easier to get judgments off, and you won't really want to bother swapping seals. That is it for prot. Starting off with Holy, guys, we'll be putting 5 points into Spiritual Focus. This will reduce the pushback by 70% on Flash of Light and Holy Light. And when combined with our Concentration Aura, that'll give us over 100% reduced pushback. So we won't have to worry about any pushback ever. Very nice. Then 3 points into Healing Light. This will be 12% more healing on Flashlight, Holy Shock. Very powerful. We're not going to be getting Seals of the Pier. This is more damage. This is really for Ret, Preg, Prot, not for us at all. Then 2 points into Unyielding Faith. This is 30% less fear and disorient. Very nice on Scatter Shot. Makes it much harder for hunters to trap you. They have to land their scatter and pretty much shoot the arrow, the freezing arrow, or the freezing trap right away. And then, of course, fears being shorter is very helpful as it can prevent some CC chains. Then we're going to get Aura Mastery. This allows you to get an immunity to silence and interrupts, and also doubles all your other auras, but you're never using it for that. You're going to be using it while you have Concentration Aura up so that you can keep casting, avoid a blanket, or just a kick. And then we'll be getting 5 points into Illumination. This is just, we're going to gain mana back when we crit with Flash, Holy Light, or Holy Shock. And then here's the Intellect talent. We'll be getting some of that. But first, we'll be getting 3 points in Improved Concentration Aura. It increases it by 15%, but really, the main purpose of this is to get the 30% less duration on interrupts and silences. Now we'll be putting 2 points into Divine Intellect for the 4% int, and then we're going to be putting 1 point to Divine Favor. This will give us the guaranteed crit, which we can also use offensively. So a Holy Shock, Avenging Wrath with Divine Favor on an opponent. You know, you can crit them for 3,000 to 6,000, so that can help you get a kill. So that's pretty good. And then 3 points into Sanctified Light. It'll give a 6% crit chance on Holy Light and Holy Shock, so that's nice. I wish it worked on Flash of Light, but Holy Shock is our main heal, and that alone is worth it. And there's not too many other good options before that. That's still available. So we're going to put 5 points into Crit Chance. Very nice. We're going to get 1 point into Holy Shock. This is one of our best abilities. And then we're going to get 3 points into Blessed Life. So we're going to have a 1 in 10 chance to take half damage. So sometimes if you get lucky and this procs on a Chaos Bolt, or like a big Lava Burst, or a huge Prot Warrior's Shield Slam, that can give you way more health than you'd otherwise have had you taken the full damage. This is more of a PvE talent. We don't cast Holy Light in PvP almost at all. The only times you'd really cast Holy Light is timing it on someone coming out of a Cyclone. So, you know, they have 3 seconds left on Cyclone. You start casting a Holy Light so you get a little more powerful of a heal right when it finishes. That's about the only circumstance I can think of where you would cast it. Then we need to spend 1 more point to go on. So we're going to put 1 more point for more Intellect. And we're not getting any of these talents. This one's Lay on Hands. We can't even use it in arenas. No point. This one's more Effectiveness of Blessing of Wisdom. We're going to be using Kings the bulk of the time. Only Wisdom in, like, you know, a mirror as a DK Pally or Warrior Pally. You're not going to really be using Wisdom much. And then this one's the best one that we're not getting. reduce the mana cost of Hand of Freedom, Sack, and Salvation by 30%. And then it also increased the effectiveness of Hand of Salvation and the effectiveness of Hand of Sacrifice by 10%. Mainly the Hand of Sacrifice is the nice part and the mana cost. But it's not a great talent, so we're not getting it. This one's reduced duration on Curse, Disease, and Poison. We don't really care about that. We're just spelling all the disease and poison on us at all times anyway. The curse one's slightly nice, but most of the curses have a long duration, and it doesn't matter a ton because we're not casting that often. And then we're getting probably the second most powerful talent, I'd say, in this whole tree, Sacred Cleansing, behind Holy Shock. You get a 30% chance to increase the target's resistance to disease, magic, and poison for 10 seconds after using your Dispel. You'll be spamming this all the time pretty much to have a 30% miss chance up. Because it reads magic, you'll be able to resist counter spells, polymorphs, psychic screams, psychic horrors, strangulates, priest silence. Very powerful abilities that you can sometimes just completely avoid. And of course it works on your teammates. Also, it is undispellable. Very powerful. And then we're going to be putting 2 points into Holy Guidance. This will give us more spell power based off of our int. In PvE, we have way more intellect. We gem intellect, actually. So this gives way more spell power in PvE, but in PvP, you're mainly gemming for Resil and spell power. Then we're going to get Divine Illumination, which will give us reduced mana cost of spells for 3 minutes for 15 seconds. Decent talent, not amazing. Holy Pally mana is very good already, but we have another ability for it. And there is, I believe, a PvE set bonus. I think it's a 2-piece tier 10, where it'll give a higher healing bonus while this is up. So if you're running that, this makes this ability much stronger. Then we got Judgments of the Peer, which reads more damage by Seal and Judgments, but its main benefit is the spell casting haste we get. So we're going to be putting in 4 or 5 points. This is where you really have some flex if you want more spell power or you want the haste. But I think the haste is a little better. I mean, at least 4 points into here because it lasts for 1 minute. You can judge from very far away because you get this talent, which increases the yardage by 30. I believe Judgment ends up being like a 40-yard range or maybe even 45. I'm not positive. So with that, we have a 1 minute undispellable haste buff for 12 to 15%. So very, very nice. So put 2 more points in here. So when our Holy Shock crits, we'll be getting an instant cast Flash of Light. And this is what makes Holy kind of busted. We will be playing Holy Shock, which is a 6-second cooldown. Eventually, we're going to glyph it down to 5. So every 5 seconds, you get an instant heal. And if it crits, you get an instant Flash of Light, which can be, you know, way over 10,000 healing, just those 2 combined. And that's instant. I mean, that's no other class really has that instant burst healing that Holy has on really no cooldown. And so then we're going to get 1 more point for the haste. Then we get Beacon of Light. So with this build, here's the 51 minimum, but really you don't want to go over 52. So I could put 1 more point in here, but I'll show you some of the flex options that we will have. We're not going to want to put anything into Ret because the deep points into Prot are so nice that we can't really avoid them. So we're going to get 5 points into Divinity. This reads heals yourself for 10% more and everyone else for 5% more. Nice 5 points. This one is Strength. We don't care about Strength. We're weak Holy Paladins. We'll leave that to the Ret Pallies and the Prot Paladins. So in Guardian's favor, reduce the cooldown of Hand of Protection by 2 minutes and increase the duration of Hand of Freedom by 4. Pretty nice. Only 2 points. This is Dodge. You don't really care about that. It could give you some more survival, but Holy Paladin survival is already so high. We're going to get 3 points into Stoicism, reduced duration of Stun by 30%. So we have reduced duration of Stun by 30 and Fear and Disorient. That is kind of crazy. And reduce the chance that harmful spells and dots will be dispelled by 30%. This is mainly for your Sacred Shield Dispel Protection, and then of course your Hand of Protection, Hand of Freedom. So that's nice. And we get 3 points into improved Righteous Fury. This means we take 6% less damage while Righteous Fury is up. It actually has no mana cost, so you can just be spamming this as a Dispel Protection that also gives you damage reduction. So quite powerful. We're going to get 1 point into Divine Sacrifice. 2 minute cooldown. You can actually use this while silenced. And I'll read it in a second, but we're going to get 1 point in here because we have to get 1 of these 3. So you either get 1% dodge or slightly shorter duration on movement, slowing effects, as well as 2% armor. I think this one's a little better. It's consistent. So I just take that, but you could take that if you really wanted. And then we're going to get 2 points into Divine Guardian. So when we use our Divine Sacrifice, it will take 30% of all damage taken by party members within 30 yards and redirect it to us to a maximum of 40% of the Paladin's health times the number of party members. damage, which reduces Paladin below 20%, will break the effect last 10 seconds. It almost never, there's almost never enough damage where it breaks the effect. I don't think that's ever happened to me. Maybe it has, but I can't recall of any. And it also will make our party members affected by it take 20% less damage for 6 seconds. So you have to get this talent. It's too good not to. And then you really have the choice of getting 2 points into here to reduce your Hajj from 60 seconds to 40. I think that's probably the best option. But if you want more healing, you can get improved devotion aura. This one will give you more bonus armor on devotion aura, which we still don't use a lot. We're still going to be using concentration aura. But it reads giving everyone 4 to 6% more healing depending on how many points you put in. So if we just do 51 in Holy, we can put 3 in here and then we heal for 6% more on everybody at all times. So that's really good. I acknowledge that. But I prefer to go with the 2 points into improved Hajj. And then you can either get the 1 point for 2% more healing, or you can get just more spell power. I think that's kind of the best build, but you can really move between these two as flex and then these two as flex. So those are your main options with Holy. And now for the Glyphs. The Glyphs, you don't have a ton of choice, but you mainly have one main glyph to choose from. First, we will be getting the Holy Shot Glyph. I think this is probably the best one. Reduce cooldown from 6 seconds to 5. Very nice. And then we're going to be getting Seal of Light. This one gives you 5% more healing while Seal of Light's active, which you just have up all the time. And then for the last glyph, you can get Flash of Light, which is 5% more crit chance, or you can go for Seal of Wisdom, which we would take over Seal of Light. So you have to get one of the seals. You don't get both. So you either get Seal of Wisdom for 5% less mana cost or Seal of Light for the 5% more healing. So I'm going to go with the 5% more healing, but it's totally fine to go with the 5% less mana. If you don't have much MP5, I guess you could go with the lower cost. And then for the final glyph, it really is between whether you want to have the 5% more crit on Flash of Light, which I like a lot, or if you really want to have a nice counter to DKs and Warlocks, you can have an instant turn evil. So you can fear Gargoyle Pet, you can fear DK Pet, you can fear either Succubus or Voidwalker or Fell Hunter instantly. So that's pretty nice, but you still just cast it. And with your haste ability at Deep Holy, maybe you're running some haste gear, it's a pretty quick cast. I think it's only 1.5 seconds in the first place, so it's not that long. So it depends. If you're playing a comp that's really weak to a DK or lock, then definitely run Glyph of Turn Evil, but otherwise I would go with the Flash of Light. And then for the minor glyphs, we'll be doing Glyph of the Wise, so when we're having mana issues, we can just put on Seal of Wisdom and it's a lot cheaper. And then you can do Lay on Hands Glyph, just a shorter cooldown, that's just for BGs. And then the last one really doesn't matter. You get 1% damage against undead. We're not ever hurting them, so it doesn't really matter. So I would go with the reduced mana cost of Blessing of Kings, because you will be reapplying that. So really, I guess your flex is the Lay on Hands, whether you want 1% damage or you want Wisdom to last longer, but that doesn't really matter. So that is Holy Paladin. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, as well as what class you'd like to see next, and I'll see you in my next video.